Glad to be here tonight. If you don't know, my name is Pastor Karl. I'm the kids pastor here at High Point Church. How many of you had me when you were a kid? Now you're a big, cool ute. And I'm glad to be here tonight. No, I did not bring Gus. Sorry. It's youth ministry. But I'm glad to be here tonight. So, if you saw the Instagram page, I teased that tonight I would be doing some magic. I got into magic when I was a kid. A magician came to our church. His name was Karl. So I thought he was cool. His name was Karl Taylor. He was a Hollywood magician. And so he would always teach me a little trick. And whenever he performed at our church, he would let me open for him. So I got to say I opened for a Hollywood magician. He was actually on TV doing PSAs. He had this bird that could do tricks and little stunts, and it was, "Don't be a nerd, listen to Officer Bird." He dressed like a cop, and his bird would answer the phone and dial 911 with his beak. But everyone in California knew who Officer Bird was. The bird was the cop, but he was kind of the bird manager. But that's how I got my early interest, like a lot of kids have, in doing magic. There wasn't YouTube back then. I had to learn from books, those things with pages in them, man. It was hard to figure out a magic trick from illustrations of ropes and cards and all that. And but I had a lot of fun with it, and it was a little hobby of mine. And then time went on. I went off to college. I was working hard in college, doing different odd jobs. And it was hard to get through school and to pay the bills. And I reached the point my freshman year, I was flat broke. I was in my dorm room. I was flat broke. In fact, on my bulletin board at home in my basement, I have up on the bulletin board still my last dollar. It's decorated. It says with a big Sharpie in block letters, "My last dollar." Because I sat there at my desk decorating my last dollar. So I was coloring it in, and I was highlighting it and doing artwork on it, because it was literally my last dollar. I had no bank account. I had no money. I paid everything I had to my school loan. Didn't have a president, paying it off for me back then. Ronald Reagan, he wouldn't do such things. So, there I was, just, no money, praying, "God, I need a miracle. I need money. I'm going to be kicked out of school." And God kind of zapped me, and he said, "Get off your butt, go out and do something." Well, I was I've tried to get a job. It's hard to get a job downtown. I was making excuses. And he said, "Do what you're good at." I said, "What am I good at?" It's "You've got this magic stuff you do." It's "Yeah, but no one hires magicians." I did birthday parties and stuff in high school. He says, "Go down to Michigan Avenue, the Magnificent Mile, set out a hat, and start doing magic." So I did. I went downtown Chicago, Neiman Marcus, Friday night with all the shoppers. Felt so nervous, so embarrassed. I set up a little table, and I just started doing magic on the street. I started making hundreds of dollars a night. Long story, really cool. The pattern I came up with, I started paying my friends, because no one wants to stop for a street magician because he might be lousy. So I would pay a friend to walk by and say, "Who showed me a trick?" And I would start performing for my friend. Then other people would kind of, go out up to, out a little ways, and then he would fade back into the crowd. I could keep the crowd going all night. And I give my friend a signal, "You can go home. I can keep this crowd going all night." And then I had all this cash. So I had opened a bank account right across the street where the cash machine was. Those were new, And then I had all the street people looking at me, and scary people looking at me. I still have the same bank account. When I go to Chase, they can't believe I have a 6-digit account number. It's because my bank got bought by another bank, which got bought by First Chicago, which got bought by Chase, and I still have a 6-digit account number. They're like, "How come you only have 6 digits?" Because I opened this account way back in 1993. So I've been doing it ever since, and it's a lot of fun. Paid my way through school, begging on the streets, just sophisticated begging. It was a lot of fun. Then I got discovered by an agent and got to do a lot of really cool stuff, celebrities and all kinds of neat things, as God blessed that endeavor. So get off your butt and go out and do something. Sometimes God answers prayer by you making the first step, and then God takes care of the next step. So I used to actually carry my deck of cards with me all the time, and I have it in my pocket. Actually, I forgot to show you the other deck I like to carry around with me all the time. This is a fun one. I was supposed to open with this one, but I forgot. So you can get one of these decks, and you can learn all kinds of fancy tricks if you practice and practice and practice, and of course, if you have a little string, it helps too. But anyway, so you can take your deck and you can learn all kinds of helpful skills. Like you guys were card castle building. That was a lot of work. You also can build card castles the magic way, where you can just, build a card castle with magic. It's a whole lot easier that way. But, or you can cheat, Oh, looks like that could go one floor higher. There we go. But most magic is cheating. But I need a volunteer from the audience. We'll just start out with the basic stuff here. All right, right here in the front. Just tell me when to stop. You're supposed to say stop while I'm fanning the cards, okay? Tell me when to stop. Well, you have to wait till I actually start. Okay? Just tell me when to stop. Okay, so I want you to take that card. All right, go ahead and take a look at it. Don't let me see it. All right? You can show it to your friends. I'm going to try and read your mind. Ooh, you must be a very spiritual person. Because you actually chose God's favorite number. God's favorite number is 7. And I'm wondering if you're in love. Are you in love? You chose a heart. A red heart. What's her name? All right, is it a 7 of hearts? All right, now, see, a lot of people think that, it's a little hook or by crook. So here's what we'll do. We'll take your 7 of heart, all right, and we'll just put it down into the middle of the deck, all right? That way there's nothing tricky, all right? And then we'll shuffle the deck. Here, I brought these tables here. Let me take my little card castle. See how flimsy that is? And there we go. We'll just shuffle the deck here. All right, so that it's somewhere in here. All right, and then where did I throw the box? I want to know, how fast do you think I can find your card in the deck? Now I'm going to seal the card into the deck. How fast do you think I can find your card in the deck? 10 seconds. All right, this is called the fastest draw in the West. Is that fast enough? Is that fast enough for you? And in case you think that there's another 7 of hearts, you can have that deck, and you can see there's not another 7 of hearts inside that deck. That is the 7 of hearts that was inside the deck. All right? You can keep that deck as a souvenir. All right? So, magicians have lots of ways to pick a card from the deck. All right? They can flip the card, bend the card, fold the card, force the card. So tonight what I want to do is I want to show you over a couple of card tricks. And I found them very fascinating because there's just something ordinary about a deck of cards, right? Anyone can get a deck of cards. They're really cheap. I was telling Zach, there's a guy on my block who works at a casino, and so he's always getting decks and selling them, so I get like a box of decks of cards all the time. Hopefully I didn't give you a trick deck. And I get them confused sometimes. And so I get them like by the box, really cheap. But I got kind of tired of those pick a card tricks because people get suspicious, right? In fact, you might not know how I did that, but if you're honest, you're really not that impressed because you've seen so many pick a card tricks, right? So never seen that. Never seen a pick a card trick? So I decided that I wouldn't do another pick a card trick, even though I just did, until I could think of a brand new one that no magician's ever done. I mean, the hallmark of a great magician is to invent your own card trick. So that's what I decided to do. I decided I would come up with a brand new trick that no one's ever done that would blow your minds. So I do need a volunteer from the audience. But this trick will be done without you even touching the deck, so the deck's not manipulated, doesn't get spilled all over the floor. Let's see, I saw a hand go up there at the back. Who is that there? I want to pick someone I don't know, because I know Kieran, all right? Or sorry to insult you, that's your brother. Who is that right there? What? Genesis? Well, I'll use Genesis. No, you stay right there, Genesis. You stay right there. I'll use hers, my beautiful sister. Well, we didn't conspire ahead of time, right? No? No? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I have a normal deck of cards here. All right? And here's what I want to do, Genesis. All right? Let's just make sure I got all the cards on here. I'm going to have you pick a card. But instead of having you pick one out of the deck like most magicians do, because once you touch the card, all trust is broken, right? Because once you touch the card, I can do something with it, right? I might fold it, I might bend it, I might somehow turn it upside down on the deck. I mean, all bets are off, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you think of a card, and without you whispering it to anyone or writing it down or anything that I could somehow track with I'm going to name your card. Would that be amazing? I bet you've never seen a magician do that. So I'm going to have you think of a card, but I can give you just a little bit of instruction, because every now and then people say 2. There's 4 2s in the deck, all right? So you have to pick the number or the value. It can be a 2 through a 10, but it can also be a jack, a queen, a king, or an ace. You understand that? And then it has what's called a suit. All right, that would be hearts, clubs, spades, or diamonds. Do you understand this already? Okay, you'd be surprised, people that don't understand it. They're like, draw 2, wild. And I'm like, okay, wrong deck. Okay? All right, so I want you to pick a card in your mind, okay, and I'm going to name your card, okay? Now, don't think it too loud, because that'll hurt. Don't tell it to anybody. You just think it. But the other important thing is you cannot change your mind, please. If you change your mind, it gives me a migraine. Okay, it really hurts. Okay, so have you thought of your card? Okay, and I've not influenced you in any way whatsoever. You've thought of the card, and you can't change it now. Okay, because that ruins the trick. You've thought of the card. Okay, I'm going to name your card right now. Are you guys ready? Genesis, I'm going to name your card right now, the card that you selected without any influence from me. Any card, freely, any card in the deck. By the way, it can't be a joker. Right? It isn't a joker, right? Okay, it's a value, and it's got a suit. I'm going to name your card right now with no further delay. I'm going to name your card. I'm going to name your card Wilbur. Aren't you amazed? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Isn't that amazing? I told you I made this trick up, right? Isn't that amazing? Now, you don't seem very amazed, a few of you. So let's review what I did here. I allowed Genesis to pick any card in the entire deck. I did not influence her in any way. We did not arrange this ahead of time. I let her freely choose, and I named her card, and I named it Wilbur. Okay? Now, just to move along here for time's sake, what was the card that you thought of? Say it really loud. 8 of spades?
King of spades.
King of spades. Okay. So I didn't know that. That's why I had to ask you. Plus I'm deaf. Okay. 8 of spades.
No, king.
King. I'm trying to change it on you. King of spades. Let me show you the fastest way to find a king of spades in a deck of cards. Are you ready? You had to pick one way down on the bottom of the deck, didn't you? Well, it's king of clubs. There better be a king of spades. You had to get it down on the bottom. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, not only did I name her card, what did I name it? And I located it in the deck. Aren't you amazed? Thank you. Now, how many of you are not impressed? Be honest. That's nice. I can take it. Okay, if you're not impressed, let's review here just because you obviously missed it. I told her to pick any card in the entire deck and I would name it. Before she told me what it was, I named it. What did I name him? Wilbur. After. That's everyone repeat with me, like Pastor Caleb says. Say it with me. After I named him Wilbur, what did she then tell me Wilbur was? King of spades. I hate spades. King of spades. Now that's important because I didn't say Mike, because Mike, of course, is the 7 of diamonds. And I did not say David, because David is the Queen of hearts. Nor did I say Frank, or Pete, or Jim, or Ken, or Paul, or Earl, or Dick, or Dale, or Dennis, or Dan, or Don, or George, or Chuck, or Chris, or Bert. Sorry, what did I say his name was? Sorry, I do this a lot. Alex, or Brent, or Brian, or Bob, or Bill, or Betty, or Art, or Andy, or Jack. I say Wilbur. What's Wilbur? King of spades. And there we go. Guarantee you'll never see another magician do that. People always ask me, how do you do that? And I say, very carefully. All right. Actually, you just have to memorize 52 cards, the names on the other side, and then whatever they think of, you just say the name that's on the reverse side of the card that they thought of. Simple. All right, I got one more trick for you, but I want to talk about how magicians fool you, all right? By the way, I have to tell you a real quick story. While the leaders are passing out some cards to you, I need each one of you to get some cards. Oh, Art fell on the ground. you need 9 cards, because I also like to change things up. Usually the magician asks the spectator to pick a card. I'm going to do a trick where instead of me having the cards and you picking a card, you're going to have the cards and I'm going to pick a card. All right? So you all need 9 cards, 9 random cards. You can trade with each other. All right? You can put them in the order you want, but you all just have to have 9 cards. While we're doing that, this is an interesting deck of cards. Anyone know what cool with a K is? Who knows what cool is? You guys know? It's a cigarette brand. Only my mom didn't know that. Because of my interest in card tricks, when I was 9 years old, my mom decided to throw a magic birthday party. We were poor. When she shopped at the thrift store, she saw a huge bag of cool playing cards. So she bought the whole bag. We did a magic birthday party, and I did card tricks. We learned card tricks, and all the kids got a cool deck of cards to go home with. Did I mention my dad was the pastor? My mom got a lot of calls that evening from parents from our church saying, Mrs. Bastian, I'm just curious why the kids all came home with cigarette playing cards. My mom had no idea that this looked like a cigarette box when the kids came home from my birthday party with a box of cigarettes in their pocket. What is that? It's from Pastor Karl, from Karl's birthday party, our pastor's son. They're playing cards. So I don't know if I still know anything about cigarettes. So I don't know if this is still a cigarette brand or not, but it was when I was a kid. So now I have Pastor Karl cards. There we go. Aren't these cool? Look at that. I get my these are for when I used to perform in restaurants and things. I would use my Pastor Karl. Well, my kidologist cards. So anyway, just some fun playing cards for you. So does everybody have 9 cards? All right, I need 9 too, Zach. Leaders, you can do this too. So normally the magician has you pick a card from his hand, right? And then he figures out what it is. I'm going to attempt a mass magic trick, all right? So instead of me holding cards and you picking a card, I'm going to attempt to pick a card from your hand and then by hook or by crook reveal what the card is that I picked from your hand. But I'm going to try and do it. Did you take attendance yet? How many kids are here?
80.
How many?
80 people.
80. So I'm going to try and do this trick 80 times on top of each other for each one of you, instead of picking one volunteer. I tried this because people always get mad. You didn't pick me as a volunteer. Fine, I picked y'all. Okay, so here's what I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so you get to practice fanning out your cards, but you're going to fan them so I can't see them. All right? You are the magician. You're going to fan the cards toward me. All right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of your cards. All right? Now, to make it easy, I'm going to pick the same card in all of your hands. So just hold them up facing me and let me decide which one I'm going to pick. All right? And you can rearrange them if you want. You can move the order around, but you can't change them once the trick starts. So if you want to move them around, you can. And then once you've decided on your order, I thought I dropped one. All right, everybody got your cards up? Okay, you got them up? You got to fan them up in front of me? Everybody got them? All right, I think I'm going to pick, can't change them now, I'm going to pick the third one from, would be your right, my left. So the one that's furthest away from you, whatever that one is, the next one, the third one, that would be from your third one down from the top. All right, you see what it is? Don't pull it out. Just look at what it is. Do you see what it is? So it would be the third one. So from this way, you can see my cards. It would be this one. In my hand, it's the 9 of diamonds. So from the left, the third card. I don't care if you see mine. I just can't see yours. So for me, it would be the 9 of diamonds. You guys get it? Yeah. Okay. Memorize that card and then just square them up. Okay, just square them up. Put them face down in your hand. Only you know what your card is. If your neighbor does, it doesn't matter. But this is between me and you, me and you, me and you, me and you, me and you. Doing this trick 80 times on top of each other, okay? Now, if you want to make sure it's still the third card down, you can peek. It should be the third card down. Now, here's what we're going to do. It's very important that you follow directions. If this trick does not work, it's not my fault. You either can't count or can't spell, okay? Go down a grade. Okay, here's what you're going to do. Don't do it yet. I'm going to show you. I showed you that mine is the 9 of diamonds, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. You don't do it yet. You're going to count out, either on your leg or on the floor or on the chair next to you, you're going to count out the name of your card. For example, mine's 9. I'm going to count out N-I-N-E. If yours is 5, you're going to spell F-I-V-E. If it's Jack, you're going to spell out J-A-C-K. If it's Queen, you're going to spell out Q-U-E-E-N. Okay? If it's Ace, A-C-E. Do you understand? If it's 11, I'm sorry, E-L-E-V-E-N. Right? If it's 8, I know that's hard to spell. So you can do that right now. Don't leave the rest in your hands. Spell out one card at a time. All right, I'm going to reverse mine. Okay, you're going to spell out. Did I keep mine third down? See, I already messed mine up. That's why you can't mess up. Mine was 9 of diamonds. I'm going to put it back. Third spot down. Okay. Mine was N-I-N-E. The rest of the cards, you're going to drop it on top. And then pick it back up. Okay. You got that? So you pick them back up. Now, every card in the deck has a name. It's the Queen of Hearts. It's the Ace of Spades. I feel bad for that word of. It gets left out a lot. It gets overlooked. I feel bad for it. I think equal rights for all words. So I want you to spell out the word of. Same way, you're going to go O, F, and then you're going to drop the rest on top and pick it back up. That should be easy. At least for the boys, right? At least for the girls. I got that backwards. I meant to consult the boys. Sorry about that. All right. My insult came out backwards, probably because I'm a boy. Okay. So you've done the number and you've done the word of. Now you're going to do the suit. Spell the suit out. Sorry if you got diamonds like I did. I'll show you. D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. I happen to have one left. Drop it on top. Spell out clubs. You know what clubs is? It looks like a clover, but it's black. Spades is like a heart with a little handle. You're going to spell that out, and then you're going to drop the rest on top. Pick your stack up. So I have no idea which card I picked of yours, and then you've spelled it out, which made it even in a more random mess, and you're left with some cards. Truth be told, there's no way I can know what card you picked. It was 9 random cards in a random order. The only thing that's in common is it was the third one down. It could have been any single card. So honestly, there's no way I can know. But you know who can know is Jesus. So I want you to spell out J-E-S-U-S, but don't drop the rest. See, Jesus knows everything. And while I could never know what's going on in the hands of all 80 of you, he does. So turn over that top card that's down on the table. If you can count and you can spell, it ended up with your card, didn't it? So that's a trick you can do with your friends. Just do exactly what I did. How many of you, your name starts with 5 letters? Is 5 letters? Then you can do it with your name. If your name is 4 letters like mine, then what you do is you put you count out K-A-R-L, and it's the one still in your hand. And you just go like that. Because the card's going to be the 5th card. If you have more or less letters, you got to make up something else. All right? So anyway, that's a trick that automatically works. So here's what I want to talk to you about tonight. I could do card tricks all night. You might prefer that. But how does a magician... I brought a music stand in here. Where did I put it? Do you mind grabbing that for me? How do magicians fool us? All right? I've been intrigued with magicians my whole life. People always ask me, how does this magician do this? You must know how all tricks are done. No, I don't. I know how a lot of stuff's done because there's a lot of principles of magic, but I don't always know, nor would I want to know. Half the fun is figuring it out, right? A lot of times I can because there's some basic principles of deception. But no, I don't know it all. In fact, this Karl, my Hollywood magician friend, when I was a kid, David Copperfield was the most popular magician. And so we would watch his shows, and he would tell me, if you can figure out a way he did it, I'll tell you how he actually did it. And so we would study magicians and try to learn. All right? One of the main ways that magicians fool people, all right? By the way, first I want to say, when I'm comparing myself, we're going to talk about how Satan deceives us. I really hate comparing myself to Satan. The difference between how Satan deceives and magician deceives is when you see a magician fool you, you go into it with full knowledge you're going to be deceived, right? A magician is up front. In fact, you're buying a ticket to go be fooled, right? But you're going into it knowing that. That's half the fun of it. It's entertainment. But when our enemy's deceiving us, most of the time, we don't know. And that's what's truly deceptive about it. So how does he do it? How do we know the difference? Well, the way a magician deceives us is, first of all, they get you to believe something that's not true, all right? They get you to accept an assumption. Like they have two of something when they have three, all right? Or what they're showing you is not really true. Like one of my favorite tricks is my disappearing card box trick. And like I have a nice little box here. I have a very expensive deck of cards. It's been passed down to me from generation to generation. So I actually keep it in a protective box because I don't want anything to happen to it. So anytime I'm traveling, I travel with it in this box. But sometimes when I put it away, something will happen to where instantly it just disappears. And the box is completely empty. And I can show you that there's now nothing in the box at all. And yet if I take it out of the box and show it to you again, you can see that from this side it looks very real. You accept it because you've seen a lot of decks tonight, but if I turn it around, it's a shell. And so if I put it in the box this way, it looks very good. You just saw the front and the top, and when I slid it out, being careful to hold it this way, it looks really good. And when I put it away this way, all right, oops, it's gone. But see, you assumed it was a normal deck. And part of setting you up for that is, you've seen a lot of cards tonight, your bar gets settled. One of my favorite card tricks is one where I just keep rubbing a coin on my elbow, I keep dropping it and picking it up, and I go this way, drop it and pick it up and this way. The last time when I pick it up, I just put it in this hand, and it's not even there. And I rub and I tap, and it's gone. And I never even put it in that hand. I put it here, and I'll set it on my neck. I do this with little kids all the time. And I'll put it on my neck, but by the time it disappears, my hand's out here and it's gone. And it's right there on my neck, but it's an assumption. So magicians get you to assume something that's not true. Number two, they distract you. Why do you think magicians use beautiful women in their magic shows? All right? The women are studying the trick, and the men are looking at the beautiful assistant, right? They're distracting you. That's how they get the elephant to disappear. You know, they're prodding the elephant off the stage while the guys are all gawking at the woman, right? So where'd the elephant go? I don't know. I was looking at the assistant. You know, it's just distraction, right? Number three, they misdirect you. When I was a restaurant magician in downtown Chicago, I'd be doing coin tricks. My favorite trick was to take the coin, palm it between these two fingers, and I would turn my hand over, the coin doesn't fall, right? And so I would go like this, and while they followed my eye, I would lift their Big Mac or their cheeseburger, slide the coin into their sandwich, and then bring my fist up. So when the coin disappeared, their eye would go over here. And then I would say, I'm going to make this coin go through your burger, through the wax paper, and onto the table. And I'd go, phew. I'd say very confidently, lift your wax paper up. And they'd lift their sandwich up. Oh, it's not there. Put your wax paper down. Do you mind just lifting the sandwich? They'd lift their Big Mac. Oh, it's not there. I'm really sorry. Do you mind just lifting the bun? They'd lift their bum and bun. And my 50-cent piece would be inside the Big Mac. And I would act like I messed up and it went halfway through the burger. And I'd be like, host, get this man a new Big Mac. I just totally screwed up the trick. And they're meanwhile like, how the heck did that coin go into the Big Mac? Well, it did it while they went up here. And I put it into, to the French fry, but it's a distraction, all right? Number 4, they use deceptive props. All right? So how does Satan fool us? Now I'm going to fly through this because I know we're short on time. But the Bible says in John 8:44 that Satan is the father of lies. There is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. The number one lie that Satan tells is to get people to believe that he doesn't exist. Barna, a research company, did a study of U.S. Christians. I'm not talking about non-Christians, U.S. Christians. And 60%, 6 out of 10, said they believe that Satan is just a symbol of evil. That he doesn't even exist. Well, if someone doesn't believe you exist, you can get away with a lot. Satan is very real. And we could do a whole lesson just on that. I don't know if you caught my sermon 2 weeks ago. Pastors keep getting sick and I keep having to fill in for them. Satan's plan A is to make sure you never receive Christ, that you never get saved, that you never get your sins forgiven, you never get to go to heaven. That's his plan A. But plan B is even more devious. Because if you get saved and you're going to heaven, Satan doesn't give up. He doesn't go, oh, well, Zach's going to heaven. Bummer. I guess I'll divert my resources elsewhere. He says, he gets angry. I'm going to make sure he does not experience the new life that God has for him. He probably doubles his resources to try to spoil the life that God has for him. That's what plan B is. And he kicks in his deception and his destruction. All right? Number 2, he tries to get people to assume things that aren't true. Why do you think evolution is such a big pushed deal in our world? Does it really matter where we came from, whether we came from God, where we came from monkeys? Yeah. Because if we evolved and we don't have a creator, we're not accountable to a creator, it absolutely evolves. It absolutely matters. Because if my fellow men are just creatures, then it doesn't really matter how I treat them. The reason there's an increase in school shootings and violence and all the stuff we read in our culture, it's because we've devalued human life. We're just fancy monkeys. It doesn't matter what you do to a sophisticated monkey. It's just an animal. And that's why people that go down that path, they start by harming animals, but what difference is a human? We're teaching in our schools that people are just animals with air conditioning and smartphones. But they're just animals. Why would they care to take those lives? But when you believe that we're people created in the image of God with will, the ability to love and to create and to have choice, suddenly it's a lot harder to pull the trigger. All right? So we start to believe lies, that there is no eternal life, that there is no consequence, that God's rules are boring. That's why people go living for pleasure and immorality and all the stuff the world pushes. Oh, it's not going to affect you. All the stuff our culture's pushing, and I don't even want to say what these things are. That's why they cover the people that are in pain and regret and guilt and wishing they could undo the things the world pushed on them. Oh, but the world won't cover that. That'll get banned from social media because they don't want that message out. Because they want to push the lies. That prayer doesn't work. All right? That happiness comes from wealth and power and promiscuity and from fame and clicks and likes and viral videos. How come all the rich people and the famous people are on drugs, divorced, or committing suicide? Because the people who get everything the world offers are miserable. And yet the people who are poor but know Christ, maybe not poor like dirt poor, but just living average lives, but have one spouse, a couple of kids, a job that pays the bills, they can go on dates, they can go on vacation, they can go to church, they're living a fulfilling life, are the happiest people on the planet. It's because they haven't been fooled into pursuing what the world pursues. Number 3, Satan tries to distract us by the things of this world. James 1:16-17 says, "Don't be deceived, my brothers. Every good, perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who doesn't change like shifting shadows." That means what he wrote about in the Bible thousands of years ago is as true today as it was back then. The good things are what God says is good. What the world says is good, it wasn't good then, and it's not good now. You know, there's a lot of literature coming out, secular literature coming out, where they don't want to mention Christianity, they don't want to mention conservatism, but they're starting to come back and say, you know what? The traditional values of the 50s and 60s and the Victorian era lead to happier people. Secular people are starting to figure out. They just don't want to mention God or Christians, so they're trying to call it in new terms, but they're figuring out that this renaissance of freedom, free sex, free life, free pursue everything leads to miserable people. But that's the lies of the world. Galatians 1:10. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Am I trying to please people? If I was still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. The choices we make to try and please people, to try and be popular, to try and be cool, to try and be hip. I mentioned this quote in my sermon 2 weeks ago, one of my favorite songs, Fool's Gold, by the first rock and roll band, Petra. I'd rather be a fool in the eyes of men than a fool in the eyes of God. 2 Corinthians 11:3. But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, your minds will be led astray from the simplicity and the purity of devotion to Christ. Man, he's saying the Christian life is actually pretty easy. It's just follow God. Just follow his word. He didn't say it's easy. He just said it's simple. Eve was deceived by Satan by saying, oh, God's lying to you. He's just trying to keep you from having a great life. He's withholding something from you. And that's what the world says. If you live the way that church wants you to live, or your parents want you to live, or your pastors want you to live, or your youth leaders want you to live, man, your life is going to be boring. So what do? How do you figure out a magician's trick? You watch, don't you? That's why magicians don't like video cameras. Because you're going to watch it later. You're going to watch it over and over again. You're going to freeze frame it. You're going to slow it down. You're going to watch when he puts his hand under the table, or he reaches down, or when he puts a helmet on. David Copperfield had a double. Everyone knows it now. So he gets on the motorbike and rides around the back. You're like, oh, that's when he switched. That's how he ended up in the audience. You're going to study the magician. You're not going to look at the assistants, not because you're being a holy man, but because you're trying to watch what the magician does, right? You are trying to be a holy man, yes. But you're not going to be distracted. You're going to watch the magician. When kids go to me, I figured out how you got my I don't care if you figured it out. That's how I learned half my tricks. Just don't tell other people. Make them figure it out on their own. All right? That's how you survive the Christian life too. You be observant. Don't be fooled. You watch their lives. Study the Word of God. Be observant. Remember 1 Peter 5:8. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Magic shows are a lot of fun. It's fun to figure out a trick. It's fun to try and see how they did it. It's actually fun to be fooled. When I was a kid, every trick I'd tell my parents how I did it. Like I'd fool them, and then I'd say, there's actually this wire, or there's actually two of them. And they finally reached the point where they said, Karl, quit telling us how you did it. We don't want to know how you did it. Because we love being fooled. We love not knowing how you did it. And we just want to enjoy the show, right? And they liked it. It was entertainment. But when it comes to our Christian life, we don't want to be fooled, right? We don't want to be savvy. I mean, we want to be savvy. We don't want to be dupes. And so we have to know that we have an actual enemy who's actually trying to deceive us. And we need to be the smart ones. So if you figured out any of my tricks, I don't care. Just don't tell anybody. But what I really want you to figure out is Satan's plan for your life. And to catch it and go, oh, no. You're not pulling that one on me. I'm living for Christ. To live is Christ, and to die is gain. Hey, Zach, you close us up in a word of prayer.
Man, Jesus, I'm thankful for Pastor Karl's message today. I'm thankful, God, that you put people like Pastor Karl that help us as youth to realize, man, that the devil is prowling around like a lion. That he's trying to get us to step away from the faith. He's trying to get us to not come to church. He's trying to get us to not hang out with other believers. But God, you are there. You are there saying, come as you are. I love you. I care for you. God, I'm thankful for the youth that are here tonight. God, I pray for their hearts. I pray for their hearts that they would come to know you if they don't. And if they do know you, that they would continue to draw near to you. God, the devil prowls around like a lion. I love that analogy, that a lion sits and waits just for the opportune time. God, help us to realize that. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Guys, can we say thank you, Pastor Karl, for joining us? Yeah. Guys, that is all we have for you tonight. Like Pastor Caleb always says, we believe the best is yet to come. Let's play some